The new Segway UTV has some outrageous specs, and I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to dive into both of these machines, a little bit about them, and I also have all the specs for the Polaris Pro R. Very popular and my personal favorite UTV, just to kind of give you guys a side-by-side example of what the Segway is. So personally, I've sat in the Segway, I've seen the Segway, but I've never heard it even start or driven in it. So that just kind of gives you a little bit outside perspective on what I know. But coming from my little bit of research, the Segway comes in two different machines. So they have the SX20T hybrid, which is turboed, and that comes in at about 40 grand. And then they have the Supervillain SX20T turboed. So you have the hybrid version and the regular version. The regular version is 30K. The hybrid is 40K. The hybrid comes with 330 horsepower, which for a UTV is absolutely outrageous. So I'm interested to see how everything else holds up with that kind of power and that kind of speed. The regular version comes with about 235 horsepower. Each of them come with a 6-speed transmission. It's the same transmission in each of these machines. And then they have, similar A-arm suspension as most other UTVs on the market, but then the shocks are Cayman 3.0s. This personally isn't a shock that I'm familiar with, but it is a Cayman 3.0. That's what it's called. If you guys know more about that, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section because, obviously I got to lean on you guys for a little bit of extra information. The front wheel travel is 20 inches in the front, 21 inches in the rear, which, just side by side with the Polaris Pro R, it's a little bit less, about 1.5 inches to 3 inches less, depending on the front and the back. It comes on a 32-inch tire with a 15-inch aluminum beadlock. So stock beadlock, that's not super common in the UTV world. You got 14.6 inches of ground clearance. It sits at 76 inches wide, which for reference, the Pro R only sits at 74, so it's about 2 inches wider than the Pro R. It weighs quite a bit more than the Pro R as well. It's 3,100 pounds dry, and the Pro R is 2,300 pounds dry. So, the motors, I'm sure, is a lot heavier with a lot more power, and hopefully they've made this thing a lot beefier, because with that much power and that much speed, you really want to be able to, be able to withstand kind of the powers and the speed. The off-road is not very forgiving, the desert is not forgiving, and rocks are not forgiving. And so, if you're gonna put up a motor that can go really fast, you got to put up a machine that can handle it. As far as both of these machines, top to bottom, they are identical outside of the motor, from what I understand, obviously. And then it comes with a sweet smart touchscreen. The technology in these UTVs is skyrocketing. I'm interested to use them. I've sat in the CF Moto machine and I've played around with it, and it works pretty good while you're sitting there, but you never know when you're out there and you have gloves on and it's dirty, and what kind of elements change how usable it is. Same thing with the Segway, right? Is it usable at all times? Is it going to connect to your phone well? Is it going to connect to your phone every time, right? Everyone knows that you have a sweet Bluetooth system that works for a second, then it stops, and time will tell with this machine. It looks beautiful. Looking at it side by side with the Pro R, outside of the fact that it doesn't quite have as much horsepower, the Pro R has proven its durability, it's proven its speed, and overall, it's an amazing machine. The suspension is great, a little more ground clearance, a little more suspension. I think that the Segway is making a big move in the power space, and I'm interested to see how that holds up for them.